Cometh the hour, cometh the man. June 25th is here with us, and we are expecting the first anniversary to remember the June Gen Z revolution of 2024. In particular, to remember the fallen heroes, the young men and women who are subject of police brutality, beginning with the death of Rex. May their soul rest in peace. May the country also find peace. As we commemorate this day, I've started with the quotes of "Cometh the hour, cometh the man." Will a man or woman emerge on 25th during the commemoration to address what has been referred to as leaderlessness, that the Gen Zs are leaderless. They are formless. How if we create situations as a country that will lead to the emergence of a Gen Z leader? How about if a man or woman cometh at that moment and takes up the leadership of Gen Z? Today, I look at situations that may lead to that. If government uses the old and tired police methods of throwing tear gas at any crowd, including a crowd of 6 people, throwing a tear gas even at children in a school, parents questioning a principal, people taking refuge in a primary school like in Kangemi last year or 2023, I can't remember. Tear gas. People taking refuge in a church, tear gas. The injured last year carried to the grounds of the Holy Family Basilica, where volunteer doctors and other health professionals had put up a rescue camp to treat the injured, tear gas. If that is the response from the police, we may then be creating that environment in which some demagogue may arise, in which a political figure from the opposition may come up and very easily get embraced by Gen Zs. And from there onwards, it will not be business as usual for government. In the manner in which the Orange movement began, with the government losing in the campaign for the 2005 Constitution referendum, in which the government lost. And immediately the journey of the Orange movement began, leading to the unfortunate events of December 2007 and January 2008. That the 25th of June 2025 could be a turning point in the history of this country. That when the history of this country is written, many years from today, it may as well be said that the blunder from government caused the revolution that created the Kenya that we will be talking about in that history. I urge government, I repeat, I urge government to approach June 25th, 2025 in an entirely new way. Police should not go to the streets to fight protesters. Police should not go with live ammunition to fight and perhaps under some form of provocation shoot and kill Kenyan children. There should be no circumstances under which a Kenyan child should be killed merely because of demonstrations. No, none. Police should not, and this has been said by the courts, no policeman should be in the demonstrations, covering the demonstrations with his or her face hidden, no masks. We have seen daring protesters, young women, young girls, unmasking police. That is a dangerous thing to have. And going by what happened last week, is it this week, I think? Politicians should not repeat what we saw. Nobody should hire goons, thugs, or thuggerize, goonerize, if I may use such an English. Take advantage of the suffering of Kenyan children. I've seen a powerful rendition from Boni Khalwale, senator from Kakamega, warning Sakaja. I'm not warning Sakaja, I'm repeating what Khalwale said. And even for him, he was saying, if it was Sakaja. You cannot take advantage of Kenyan children, advantage of joblessness, of hunger, hopelessness. Give them 1,000 or 500 shillings. Give them pennies, rungus. Give them crude weapons and unleash them on demonstrators. That cannot be Kenya in the 21st century. That Kenya should exist in your mind, not on the ground. Whoever you are, it does not matter who. It does not matter how high. That Kenya that you are creating in your mind should remain in your mind. Do not try to actualize a Kenya in which you take advantage of young men and women, arm them to go and harm demonstrators. So what kind of situation do I advocate for as we commemorate? Because we must remember the young ones. These are heroes. They have given their lives in the pursuit of happiness for all Kenyans. We must remember them. They have paid the ultimate price for country. We must remember them. Their blood has flown, not in vain, but to water the tree of freedom. We must remember them. They have left their mothers in tears. The pain of burying your child is difficult to bear. I've gone through it, I know. That children should bury us, their parents, and not the other way around. It's painful for a father, for a mother, to bury a 20-year-old son, blossoming at the peak of youth with the promise ahead of them, with all the investment, as we had in the case of Albert Ojwang. The pain is not easy to bear. We must remember these fellows. But we must do so in an environment that demonstrates our concern and our love for this country. In South Africa, for example, no work, every South African should be on the streets. Yes. But who is leading them? Police band. Would I be asking for so much, for too much, if I request the authorities in this country to work with the demonstrators, with Gen Zs, on a program that starts in Uhuru Park with prayers for our fallen heroes and heroines, with handkerchiefs to wipe the tears of people like Mother X, to wipe the tears from people who lost their sisters and brothers, to wipe the tears from the eyes of fathers who buried their sons who fell during the June 25th revolution, to wipe them and to console them with prayer. That's what we can do as the least in respect and honor of those who died in the pursuit of a better Kenya. So I would urge that we start with prayers and other commemoration events in Uhuru Park. I'm not asking for too much. When Raila gathered with his followers in Uhuru Park, I think it was on 30th of January or something, I've forgotten, for the swearing in, people thought the police will maul down demonstrators. I remember Mudavadi and I think Kalonzo, they couldn't get to Uhuru Park because they said there was going to be violence. The police would shoot people. There wasn't a policeman to shoot anybody. Least of all, there wasn't a gun. People even thought the army would descend on the crowd. I personally never expected a crowd. I remember I was in NTV studios with Miguna, and we were arguing with Miguna. He said there will be 1 million people. I told him, Miguna, you are wrong. Nobody will turn up. I was proved wrong. We thought the army would come in. They didn't come in. Therefore, it is possible for a thinking government to look at the dangers and avert those dangers and allow peaceful demonstrations. And from Uhuru Park, the police band should lead demonstrators using prescribed routes, maybe from Kenyatta Avenue down to Moi Avenue, through Harambee Avenue, and back to Uhuru Park now for speeches, where politicians can come and talk. And before 5 o'clock, the meeting is over, people go home. No police brutality, no goons, because I can assure government, as an informed senior citizen, that your children, the Gen Zs, cannot be violent. They have not been violent. They cannot burn anything. They cannot destroy. They are builders, not destroyers. They cannot be talking of the promise of tomorrow and turn to destruction. The Gen Zs cannot be talking about a future of promise and proceed to loot. The Gen Zs cannot be talking of a future where every Kenyan lives happily and then proceed to kill or to injure. That will be a serious contradiction. And therefore, if the police band were to lead them along the lines of what happened in South Africa and back to Uhuru Park, I can assure you the crowd will disperse by 5, 6 o'clock and go home. Having made a point through the demonstration and the speeches, having made a point and demonstrated that a peaceful Kenya is possible, that a Kenya of hope is possible, that a Kenya where we have leaders who are mindful of the people they lead is possible. That will be demonstrated. The contrary of that, which in my view is dangerous, which drives the country closer to the edges of destruction, is for the police and for the political leadership to imagine they have the power to stop the people. The people are always stronger than the government. Society at any time is always stronger than the state. It is a civic responsibility among the people that gives government the power to run the government, to run the country. The state is stable and peaceful because those with power surrender the power to the few whom they give the power to manage the state. Let it remain that way. Because I pose this to government and those who like hitting their chests, saying they are powerful, will crush them, will not allow it. You as who? You will not allow the wewe ni nani wewe? We cannot allow the wewe ni nani? Ask yourself, who are you? Hatuwezi kubali wewe na nani na wewe ni nani? This country belongs to Kenyans. And I am telling you, in your irresponsible utterances, the people who own this country are Kenyans. And the Kenyans cannot destroy their country. Never. There is no way Kenyans can go to the streets to loot, to destroy property, to harm or injure anybody. Never. Not Kenyans, not Gen Zs. It is those who want to score. It is those who want to do, let me stop the demonstrators so that the president can see. See what? The president wants a peaceful Kenya. The president wants to rule, to govern. How can you govern a country which is not peaceful? If this country goes up in flames, what will be the purpose of being president? Go to Somalia and see whether presidents walk in the open, whether they enjoy being president. Therefore, don't try to do things to please the president. I'm sure President William Ruto would not support such a thing because he wants to govern a peaceful country. Wacha kupeleka goons kwa barabara to give them little money which you have stolen from the public so that you demonstrate to the president that Mimi, I cannot allow people to play with your government. I don't think the president will support that. Finally, let me remind those in power. In 2013, 2012, 2013, we all knew President Kenyatta and President Ruto were facing charges, very serious charges of international crime. They were not just suspects. They were indictees, and they were facing charges at the ICC, at The Hague. Reading of the Kenyan Constitution will tell you that is enough ground for impeaching the president. And yet, we allowed them to run for office. This matter was brought before IBC. IBC said no. EACC, no. The judiciary, no. The judiciary was very clever. They said, when it comes to matters presidential, we only deal with petition. In other words, an election must take place. You pick the flaws with that election, including a person who didn't qualify to run. Bring it to us at the Supreme Court as a petition. Everybody walikuwa naondokea. A quick look at, a casual glance would show that as weakness. The judiciary was weak. The IBC was compromised. EACC is toothless. No! The truth is, stopping Ruto and Uhuru from running would cause chaos in this country. That's why they were allowed to run. That's the truth. Raila has been at the forefront of demonstrations. We all know what has transpired. Why hasn't Raila been arrested? Oh, oh, government fear Raila, sijui, oh no, sijui what, oh. No! Which jail will hold Raila? People will burn it. Take him to industrial area, itachomwa. And it won't be the first in history. Go to the French Revolution. Wakati wahuni walifunguliwa kutoka jela. Wote. That's dangerous. Why am I driving at? I'm telling government, supposing Matiang'i were to come and lead the Gen Zs, what will you do to him? Supposing Gachagua came up, what will you do to him? Would you take Gachagua to industrial area? How many days will you hold him there? Will you take Matiang'i to a police station and hold him how many days? These are not threats. This is the reality. Coming from a man who loves this country. With the ability to see things. Matiang'i and Gachagua are at the level where if you touch them, the country can go up in flames. That's where Uhuru is. That's where Ruto is. That's where Raila is. These two have joined them. There are men you touch. You can touch Manyora and do anything. Nobody will even know. Some of these wannabe politicians, you can do what you want with them. Hold them at the central police station. A few people will make some little noise. You can hold them even for a week. Take them to industrial area. You take Matiang'i to industrial area and see how it will go. Common sense, logic, and love for country. Love for country. Let's not do things that can invite anarchy. And the government will be shooting itself in the foot, especially the president. Because if you want to be antagonistic during the demonstrations, how I wish they are not normal demonstrations. How I wish we do it now differently. By starting from Uhuru Park, the way I've said, with a prayer session, wiping the tears of the mothers who lost their children, in prayer and song, and then peacefully through the streets of Nairobi and back for speeches. How I wish it was that civil. Because the alternative, government will be creating ground enough for somebody like Matiang'i or whoever it is to come up and be seen to be supporting the Gen Zs, and they have to take the leadership of the Gen Zs. The rest, like they say, will be history.